What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is gonna be your Real Housewives of Dallas review. It's late again. Look, I'm getting my life together, but it is late. But to be honest with you, it wasn't really a whole lot with this episode, so I'm gonna run through it real quick. We picked up the next morning after the big fight last week. Everybody sobered up, cooler heads have prevailed. At the end of the day, Cameron won't let go of what she thought she heard. Cameron did not. In her intoxicated state, I believe she heard what she thought she heard. I mean, you know what I'm saying. But that's not what Stephanie said. But everybody's cool in the morning. They're like, look, last night we were all drunk. Everybody got a little heated. We ain't really mean what we said. But Cameron, at the end of the day, she feels like she's owed an explanation about why Brandy chose to do her adoption in secret. And here's the thing. Nobody owes you shit. And that's going to be the theme at the end of this episode, too. Because first of all, you and Brandy ain't even friends. Like, at the end of last season, you were like, I'll never speak to her again. Like, I just don't think we could be friends. Like, we just don't have nothing in common. So why the fuck would you even think that she would confide in you? Now, I know some stuff is for camera, so maybe off camera they've made up or they've developed a friendship. But the thing about adoption, first of all, according to their version of the story, this adoption came out of nowhere, and it was a surprise. But the thing about adoption is there's a lot of maneuvering to it. There's a lot of legal stuff going on. There are a lot of twists and turns. And a lot of people don't say anything until it's a done deal for a lot of different reasons. Because you don't want to be disappointed. You don't want to have to explain to everybody after you told everybody you won't have a baby and it falls through and you don't have the baby. You don't really want to explain that. You don't want to have that conversation. And so, what's her name? Kara? Kara? Cara. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The nurse. That's what she was trying to explain to Cameron. She was like, look, you don't have to like her explanation. You just got to accept her explanation and move on. And she was like, but you don't think that? And she was like, no. But don't you think no. But I think she should, no. Nobody owes you that. And even when you're the best of friends, I have friends, we're tight as hell. They don't tell me every single thing that's happened in their life. And I don't tell them every single thing. Sometimes you just forget. It's not a big secret. You just fucking forgot this. You forgot. So I feel like that's what the big deal was with that. At the end of the day, Cameron was just mad that she didn't know about that damn baby. And so I think we got to a point where we just agreed to just let it go. Stephanie was like, I didn't say what she thought I said, but you know what? At this point, I just want to be done with the argument. And so they all agreed to let it go. And to be perfectly honest with y'all, I don't look at every single franchise of Real Housewives, but I look at most of them. This is probably the most peaceful trip I have ever seen on a Real Housewives franchise. Because honestly, the rest of the trip was relatively uneventful. It was a nice episode and it was great to see the girls getting along. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say it was boring because it wasn't boring. But it was just a bunch of girls having a great weekend. They went, what is it? It's like jet skiing in the snow. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The snowmobiles. Yeah. They went on the snowmobiles and had a great time. And when they got to the top of the mountain, Deandra and Brandy had a conversation where they cleared the air. I guess that was a great place to clear the air, at the top of a mountain. And basically, Deandra just had to say, look, you know what? I could have chosen my words better. I am sorry that I kind of threw shots and they landed on you. I apologize. And what I like about Deandra was she didn't really, because in her confessional, she was making a lot of excuses. But when she talked to Brandy, she was just like, look, I said it. I didn't mean it the way it came out, but I could have chosen my words better. And inadvertently, shots fired landed on you. And that's not what I meant. But what she went on to say was that she's a little sensitive about people who use Adderall to get high or as a plaything because she also has ADHD and she uses it for its intended purpose. And so she is a little sensitive about people who use it as a fun drug. And I think they sort of bonded on that because both of them use Adderall for the purpose that it was meant for. They're both a little, ADHD. And so I think they bonded on that. And so that was all cool. They came off the mountain. Everybody was happy. Everybody was good. Stephanie ended up having to leave because Stephanie had to... Remember, at the beginning of the trip, Stephanie said she was going to Italy. It was probably a pre-planned trip, but for the purposes of the show, she did go to part of the trip, and now she's going on to meet up with her family in Italy. But before she left, there was another little argument that happened that they don't have footage of, so it must have happened so late that the cameramen were not there to get it on tape. But De, Le, Leanne and Deandra were arguing over who was the queen of the group, like who was the leader of the pack, and it was like one of those like such an elementary school argument that it was just like, really, are we really doing this right now? Like, are we really having this argument right now? But what ended up happening was, Brandy says, "Well, let's just make fun of it." She said, "Let's turn it into a pageant. Let them compete for queen and see who's going to be the queen and who's going to be the queen of the group. You know, just something silly to kind of just make fun and make light of the situation." They to kind of go back, so the first thing they did was, so I'm sorry. So that night they had a good time, and Brandy and Leanne are actually starting to bond. They're actually starting to really get along, but they're bonding over alcohol. You know, Brandy good for some alcohol. You giving her some shots, she good to go. But Brandy is being Brandy, just letting loose, having a good time, and Cameron is actually being really, really loose. Like I said, once they got past that argument, they are having a really, really good time. So anyway, the next day rolls around. Like I said, Stephanie left, and where'd they go that day? Oh, everybody kind of got to do their own thing. Cameron said she was throwing away her agenda, her itinerary, and she was letting everybody kind of do their own thing. So Stephanie left. Brandy and Leanne went shopping. The nurse, I don't know why I can't think of her. I know it starts with a K. I think it's Kara. She went skiing, because remember, she's a really good skier. So she went skiing, and Leanne and Cameron stayed at the house and had massages and stuff. So everybody was kind of doing their own thing. And once again, Brandy and Deandra are bonding they found themselves a cowboy and boot store. They bought them some cowboy hats. They bought them some boots. They were shopping, taking shots of tequila. Now, I've been to stores before that have champagne. And of course, when you go to a liquor store, sometimes they'll have wine or tastings for different things that they're trying to sell. But I ain't never been to a store that give you shots of tequila. But they was giving them shots of tequila, honey. And they was taking them shots of tequila, and they was having themselves a good old time. And Deandra was actually enjoying herself shopping, but she sort of caught herself because remember her and her mom had this big falling out, and she said, I really kind of need to watch how I'm spending my money, because when I get back, if I really do have to go into litigation and pull my money from my mother's company, then I'm gonna have to really watch my pennies a little bit here. Now, do I think that Deanne is having money issues? No. What I think though is the thing about rich people is this. This is something I learned about rich people. Rich people their money is separate. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure she has money. I'm sure because she has a trust fund. The problem is her mother controls her trust fund. And so if she's pulling her business away from her mother, and she's going to have to get lawyers, it's going to get ugly. I don't think it's a situation where she's like, I'm broke. I think she was just like, do I really need to spend $2,000 on this necklace that I want? Which she did not do. She chose to not do that. But at the end of the day, she probably could have afforded the damn necklace, but because she spent $5,000, what's another $2,000? What's another $2,000? When you're spending $5,000, what's another $2,000? But anyway, so they end up going out to dinner that night. Cameron's only rule for them to have the day to themselves was that everybody showed up for dinner, and they did. And they went to a little buffet, which I thought was really interesting that Cameron took them to a buffet, because they're in Vail, Colorado. That's where they actually went shopping. The girls went in when they went to shopping. They were in Vail. I'm pretty sure they had a nice sit-down steakhouse with five, y'all know what I'm talking about. Damn it, I can't get it out. But you know what I'm talking about. Courses, 5 courses. But they went to this it was a nice little spot though, and it was a buffet. Now, Cameron, she said, I usually don't do buffets, and so I was waiting for this real elitist type answer. But actually her reason for not doing buffets is actually valid. She said because buffets make you make poor food choices. She said, they make you want to get everything. You get a little bit of this, you get bread, you get macaroni and cheese, you get double macaroni and cheese, and you get to the desserts and you want taste everything. And I said, you know what? Now that's a good reason to not like a buffet. But I was waiting for her to say something like, oh, buffets are just beneath me, you know? Okay. So the other big blow up that they had, and it wasn't a blow up, it really wasn't a blow up, but I think this is going to be a theme for the part, at least part of the season. They were doing their little pageant. So they had them. Now, what we found out is that Leanne, and I remembered this, but I didn't, I remembered it once they said it, but it wasn't something I think about all the time. Leanne was actually a pageant queen. Like, she actually participated in some, I think they said 9 pageants, and she actually held some titles. And the last pageant she said she participated in was Miss USA. So she's actually held some major titles, and participated for some major titles. So she was saying that so they had them do the pageant thing where they had to answer a question, and they would, what are your hands good for? And of course they flashed back to last year when she was talking about strangling people and all that stuff. And then Deanne, they asked her, of course, Brandy being Brandy, asked her, what would you do if someone had a foul smell? Like, what would you say? Like, how would you handle it? It was cute. So then they got to the part where they were like, you can ask each other a question. So Deanne went first, and Deandra is her name. I keep saying Deanne. Deandra, she asked Leanne, what's up with the wedding? Basically, she said, do you think that I'm happily married? And Leanne was like, sure, yeah, I do. And she said, well, what's up with the wedding? I'm sorry, y'all. She said, well, what's up with the wedding? And so they end up getting into this big conversation about Leanne, her not setting a date, why they taking so long, what's the holdup? Does Rich not want to get married? Now, Rich has been married 3 times before. And Deandra's concern is valid. Coming from a friend, she said, look, my concern is that Rich has been married 3 times. And my fear is that he gave Leanne the ring to shut her up. That he really has no intention of marrying her, but he knew that the ring would buy him some time. And they've been engaged for almost 2 years now, and they haven't even set a date. And so Deanne, first Leanne said, well, part of the problem was him adjusting to him losing his sight, because he's wearing a patch now. So I think they talked about his eyesight going, which is why he had to retire from the police force, because he couldn't qualify anymore. I don't think he could, his firearm, he couldn't qualify anymore with the eye issue. But now he's actually wearing a patch. So I'm thinking that he's lost most of the vision in that eye. And she said, well, he's adjusting. He's not in a really good place right now. And then, but the women just kept going. They kept going. And I'm going to say the same thing about this that I said about the whole situation with the adoption. I do believe that their concern was genuine. I don't think they were being messy. I don't think they were trying to cause problems. But I do think that their concern was genuine. However, it's really not y'all business. And you have to accept Leanne's answer. You don't have to like Leanne's answer, but you have to accept Leanne's answer. And I understand where Deandra is coming from, because she said, look, this is my friend, and I know Leanne, and I know it's more to this story. But for right now, I'm going to let it go. Okay, cool. Then you wait till the 2 of y'all are by yourself, and she may open up to you one-on-one, because y'all do have a genuine friendship, and you can talk to Leanne like not everybody else can. Like, Deandra can call Leanne out on her shit and all that other stuff. Everybody else can't do that with her. And they also have a really genuine friendship beyond the show. They've been friends for years. And so you may be able to get her to open up. But in that moment, in that environment, she wasn't going to give y'all more than what she gave y'all. And she did say that then after that, she said it was her. She said she's afraid because she's really afraid to rock the boat, because she's afraid Rich is going to leave her. She's afraid that, because she was like, he's been divorced 3 times. So clearly for him, divorce is an option. And what I don't want to happen is, we've been together for 9 years. I don't want us to get married and it ruin it, and then he doesn't want me anymore. And I think that's the most honest answer. Like, I really do. I think that Rich is in no rush to set a date. And I don't think she's pushing him to set a date for that exact reason. I believe everything she just said. But y'all can't make her do it any faster. I understand, let her know that y'all are there for her. And if she wants to talk, y'all are open for the conversation. But you just can't make that woman have a conversation with you. You can't make her tell you why her and her fiance have not set a date. But again, I say I think that's something that will be revisited. Brandy actually, because she started crying, and Brandy actually went over and hugged her. And like I said, I don't think they were being messy. I do think their concern was genuine, and they were like, "Look, we're happy, and we want you to be happy too." So I do think it was coming from that place. But it was good to just see them getting along, like they were just getting along. Um, Kara left early. What is that her name? Kara. Anyway, I keep saying it, but she left because she went to. It was spring break for her family, so she went to go meet them in somewhere else, Jackson Hole. She went to go meet them in Jackson Hole. So then it was just down to the four of them: Brandy, uh, Deandra, Leanne, and Cameron before they were leaving to go home. So they had the final piece of the pageant, which came down to the talent portion. The only reason why I'm mentioning this is because Deandra's talent was putting a quarter in her ass and putting a cup between her legs and being able to drop the quarter into the cup. How did you even know you could do that? Like, were you just sitting around one day practicing, saying, I wonder what I could do with a quarter in between my ass cheeks? Like, how did you come up with that? And then Leanne's talent was to rap, which she couldn't do. I mean, badly. I mean, it was a horrible rap. And so I go back to you being in the pageants. That clearly could not have been your talent when you were doing the pageants, because you would have won shit. But anyway, it was all in fun. They all had a good time. And because Deandra was able to drop a quarter out her ass into a cup, she won. Because, I mean, who's going to top that? But it was fun, you guys. It was a good episode. But I'm sure that we're going to go back to Dallas and the fuckery will begin. But it was good. And I think for the most part, everybody got along. And like I said, that was the most peaceful Real Housewives trip I've ever seen. All right. See y'all later. Peace.